Good morning everyone, welcome to my channel. So today's video I'm working on Botanical Beauties, the project that has been going for nearly a year, where we have a flower each month to sketch, draw, paint and then stitch throughout the month. And Susanna from Vintage Blend Studios and myself, we picked 6 flowers each, and this month it's Susanna's turn, and for September she has chosen Black-Eyed Susan. So back when she picked her flowers, she said, well, Susanna, I have to have that flower in my list. And then we had a giggle a couple of weeks ago. She had some surgery on her eye, and after the surgery she had a black eye, and we were like, oh boy, wasn't that flower best suited for this time of the year? Black-Eyed Susan. So the Black-Eyed Susan flower is part of the daisy family. So I've sort of been floating around, you know, what will I do? What's my version of it? Will I do this or something else? And I've been flip-flopping for a few weeks, and I've gone from doing a white daisy to the gerbera, which is also part of the daisy family, because I have some nice hot pink ones out the front of the house in a pot. And then I sat down right now and Googled a Black-Eyed Susan flower, just to sort of get my head around, you know, what exactly the flower looks like before I go off on another tangent. And that's the image that I found. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to do these. So Susanna, I know you thought I'd be coming out with maybe a daisy or a gerbera. I'm going to do these. And you know what's caught my eye? I love how the center of the Black-Eyed Susan flower is raised. Where if I did the normal daisy and the gerbera, the center is, you know, more set into the petals. So I thought, well, that's something different. So I'm going to stick with the flower. And looking at my piece, if you are working with this book, it's on page 32 is the flower. So let me get that out of the way. See, even last night before I did the video, I re-stamped. See, you guys, this would have been driving you nuts. I had freesias there. I wrote the wrong name of flower, oh gosh, 2 months ago, and I'd filmed 2 months worth of videos, the crocus and this guy, and I did the wrong flower. I don't even know how that happened, and it's been sitting there. So while you've been watching the crocus being completed, you've probably noticed that that was still wrong. Well, it's fixed. I finally got to it, and I did daisy, but I'm not going to do daisy. So that's how convinced I was doing daisy. So what I want to do is put the flower in here, which is going to be fun because that then gives me this piece here to stitch. This is a pre-printed embroidery tablecloth, and I got it secondhand, and there were elements of it done by the previous person, and then I've come along and finished it off. So yay, I get this in amongst it. Now, I think some yellow flowers with the little black, burgundy black centers on them, I think will be rather cute. So here we go. I think I'll do a similar thing to the tulips. Have, you know, one that's reasonably high up here. I've got my iron here so that if there's a section of flower that I don't like, you know, I can iron it out. So let's think about this flower. The center is raised. Let's see if I can get a bit of a raised bump happening here. And then these petals hanging down to sort of make it feel like, hello Fudgy's smooching my leg here. Good morning, young Fudge. Maybe I could make that more raised. I think so. Now they seem to come up on that, you know, the stem quite predominant, and their leaves are quite long. So I was thinking if I did the daisy, I could get that furry daisy leaf. I rather like the way that the classic daisy has that little texture about the leaf, but no, at the last minute, Corrine changes her mind. There we go, there's one. Maybe we can get a little guy down here. I like these because we can get that turned up to the sun sort of feel. You know, we're looking at the sky, daisy feel. It's quite a you know, cylindrical sort of shape. Yeah, that's good. Maybe that needs to be a bit more like that. I think that's better. Get more of a rectangle happening. Then bring the petals in. Okay. Let's start with this center. I think that's what's helping me anchor the flowers. Get that little high center done, and then come out with the petals. And daisies too, as they go through their stages of life as a flower, they tend to change a little bit too. They do have that everything up in the air routine, and then they slowly, the petals droop as the flower starts breaking down. It's a little bit over out there on his own, but I think I'm okay with that. I might try and make this guy a little bit more open instead of drooping petals. Let's see if I can get more of a, like he's a dish. To like the technical speak, he's more like a dish. It's hard to, like a saucer, sort of picturing a saucer. Hey Fudge, what's going on? So I'll have to stamp a new label. Here I was thinking a little white daisy would do me. Make that a little bit bigger and a little bit squarer. Pussy. Oops. I like that. Puss, what's the matter? You seem a little grizzly today. What's going on? You have nothing to grizzle about. You live in the McEwen Manor. Life is pretty good for the fudge. Yeah, I'm that. That looks like them. I just get that a little bit rounded because you're looking down on that guy. You could probably even bring out more petals. But they'd have to be little because they're in the distance. No, let's try not to be too tricky with our drawing. Let's just keep it simple, girl. So now I'm just going to go over all of the petals to make sure they're exactly the right shape, the right angle. And then I can come back with my permanent pen, sketch them in, and then they are ready for some colour. Yep. Mind you, I didn't bring paper towel in with me, so I didn't think that far. Okay. Stem, is that going in the right spot? I think that stem's heading in the wrong direction a little bit. It wouldn't even be catching the top of that flower. That's better. This little guy down here. I didn't know a lot about these little flowers when Susanna first mentioned them for her list. Thought, what are they? And then I thought, oh, daisies, that's all right. Daisies are good. I know what a daisy is. You don't see them around very often. They're probably there and maybe I just haven't noticed them. I sort of find that with some flowers, it's like suddenly they're on your radar and you're seeing them everywhere. I always find that with cars. Say a friend buys a new car and it's a model you don't know, then everywhere you go, you see that car. It's like it suddenly becomes obvious to you and there's one, there's another one. I find that quite interesting how that happens. That leaf is sort of coming from nowhere there. I'm just going to remove it at the moment. I actually like that. That's cleaner. So there's 4 of them. Is that going to be okay? Odd numbers, even numbers. Do I do another little guy here? Just a little fellow. Sort of don't want to get too big because we're sort of tapering off the side of this piece, I think. Is what my feeling is. Does look like an afterthought, but that's okay. No, I don't like him. I don't know what it is. I think it's because this actually feels really scented. I'm going to break the design rules, and there's only 4. Because I feel like if I put a little guy here, it is then not balanced, and I'd need another one here. And then if I have something in here, it sort of feels like I'm cluttering a nice little space. I love how that's a little double, a bigger one. Yeah, I'm going to have to break the rules. I don't think anyone will ever notice that there's only 4. And it seems to be okay. I don't know if it's just my eye. And it's probably because it's nestled in this garland of flowers here. I think that's why I can pull it off. It's a whole image. Maybe the leaves is what's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, look, I've got 6 leaves. Look, stop. Don't worry about it. it looks good. My eye seems to be happy with it, so we're going to just let it go. Alrighty. You know, when this flips across the table for people to have a look at, no one's going to spot it. Isn't it funny how we overthink these things, and then you show someone and they're like going, oh, that's lovely, yes, 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 and then you go, oh, but look at this, and they didn't even notice it. Yet we're very quick to put it out there. So now I've got my permanent pen. I think I use a number 3. And now I'm just going to very carefully sketch it in. Just with some lines, yes, fudge. So we get that colouring in book look. There is an orange black-eyed Susan as well I saw in amongst the photos, so maybe I could do yellow and orange, or yellow at the base, you know, where it goes darker, so orange at the base and yellow coming out from the centre. That's the next week video. Give me a little bit of time to have a look at these little guys and have a look at the pictures. This little pen is starting to catch on the threads. I might change my pen. It's just a little bit pokey. Does that make sense? So if I go up to a 4, might be a slightly bigger point and glide a little easier. I feel like, do I want a line in the flower? Yeah, that's better. Slightly bigger nib on the end of that, so it's skipping across the flower, the fabric, and not catching. Do I want some lines in there? I think I will. Just a couple. It has made it a little childlike, but this is quite a loose weave linen, so the pen does catch quite easily in the fabric, but I'm just going to take my time. Budgie's having a big drink of water. I can hear him lapping. Okay, let's get his stem in position. Now, I haven't filmed a video for this project for a couple of months because I did the 2 flowers over a couple of days. I got in and did the crocus and the fuchsias, which then bought me, you know, a couple months worth of videos for you guys. So now I'm back on the piece. Feels like forever since I've been here. I've only got 4 flowers left. And once again, another year has slipped by. Goodness. Thoroughly enjoyed this project, but it's just been a real pleasure to study a flower. That petal's a bit wacky, but it's okay. They're daisies, and they look like daisies. Okay, and the little centre, little dots in there. Don't know how I'm going to treat the centre of the flower yet. It's very cute. Okay, stem. So the stitching you see here and here, that's the original lady that had this tablecloth, which is rather cool that she's in amongst my work. I just think that's great. Okay. So that should be it all sketched in. Now I can touch it with the iron to get rid of the original sketch, leaving the black lines. Yep, love it. Okay, so what we might do is get the paints. We've got time. That sketched up really quickly. Some of them takes me a bit to get them right, but we're only 20 minutes in, so I only think we need some paints. All right, I'm going to go get a paper towel and I'll grab my paints and we'll put even a little bit of paint in these, I think. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. I'll be back in a second, guys. Okay, I'm back. So I picked up this time my gouache paints. They are just a children's quality set of paints. I think they were about $11. I found them online at, I think it was even a kids' toy place. So really worth the investment. I've thoroughly enjoyed working with the gouache ones. And then I've got my Inktense pencils. So looking at the little swatches that I did when I first got the sets, I've got to work out how I'm going to approach these flowers. And I've zoomed in on this image because I love the fact that we've got this black-eyed Susan really obvious. So we need something bright leading into a orangey tone and then this little dark centre. So that's the plan. Now, the really bright. I'm thinking of going the gouache paints. Like sherbet's not bad, but I'm liking that. So, let me grab my paint brush. I've got a little bit of water here. Underneath I've got paper towel and a hard surface, just in case. But I think the secret to painting on fabrics like I'm doing here is, there's that daisy kicking around still, forget about that, is not to, I might just put that there as I travel across the fabric, just in case, is not to make your paint or your fabric too wet. Can you see everything? Yep, close enough. So, and then if you're applying, just stay back from the edges a little. If it's going to seep, at least then you're back a little bit. And gouache paint's not too bad. It tends to just, because it's chalkier, it tends to sit on the surface more so than if you are using water and those Inktense pencils. So I do find I have a little bit more play. And even though it's gouache, it really does give me colour. So there we go. I like that. I can stitch into that with a really bright yellow thread. Maybe do a little bit of weaving, some beads. I know there's some yellow beads. I'm getting sidetracked now. Hope you can see that tulip there. See that there? Yellow beads, yellow weaving, yellow stitching. So I know that is a lot of fun and works. So I'll definitely be going down that rabbit hole for the treatment of these. The gouache paint too dries fairly quickly once you sort of activate it. So I guess you're not, you know, making it sloppier and sloppier as your project goes on, and then you run the risk of having it bleeding everywhere. You do get, it sort of backs off a little bit. So I'm rather a fan of them, to be honest. And I love how they give me a strong colour. Really simple. Bright little daisies. So we'll get some paint down today, and then I have to let that dry before I start dragging some threads through these fabrics. So this is a good start. Okay. I might, for something different, paint that whole petal in the yellow. And then drag in some orange and see, like make this one a little bit more intense. Thinking I'll do this burnt orange here. And if I start in the middle and come out, gee, it's orange. A little bit of water to soften the two. Yeah, that's good. Yes. So that tells me I could do a little bit more yellow in towards the centre. Don't be so shy, Corrine. Go for it. And then don't need a lot of paint, but just a hint of it coming in. And then bring a bit of this out. Yep. Ooh, woof woof. Bandit was sitting by the door here. Starting to get a little bit damp there on that fabric, so steady. Let's bring a little bit more of this yellow down into there. Remember, it's stylized, it doesn't have to be fine arts, so take the pressure off yourself, just have a play. There's quite a few doing the project that show us their work in the Facebook group that Susanna, myself and Tia set up, Stitched Vintage Treasures, and it's so fun to see everyone's interpretation of the same flower. And some are not painting, they're just doing textiles and stitch and some clever, clever put together pieces. There we go. Hello, little flowers. It's like they're popping off the page at me now. We can see them. Could fiddle and fiddle with painting. I don't know if it's a good thing or not. Now, the centre. We want to get darkish. So I'm just looking over my colours. Like there's a Shiraz in the pencils that I just glanced at. I'm tempted to start with that, to be honest. So I get that pinky tone. Where are you? Nope. That's it. So this one, I'm going to wet the tip of it to activate it. That just gives me that little bit without being too bold or too wet. And then I can build up from there. There we go. I like that. I can go darker, but what I'm thinking is if I just stay in this purpley tone, I can then stitch darker. Like I've got to keep reminding myself that I'm actually, that was nearly a drip onto. I've got to remind myself all the time that this is also stitched, so it's quite easy just to colour it in and you think, oh yeah, you're done. But there's also stitch involved, so steady girl. It's always hard to hold back, isn't it, when you're enjoying a particular technique. It's like, oh, I'll just do another couple thousand French knots, where you probably should stop and bring in another knot. I don't even mind that, how it's leaving the top edge of it coloured in. You know, there's just a little bit of ink there. Now, I wonder if I just get a little bit of darkness down in here with the pen itself, the pencil itself. I'll end up probably stitching it anyway, but to really emphasize that center of the flower is dark. So there's my little daisies. I'm happy with that. Well, they certainly aren't white daisies like I sat down. That's good. There's something different, you know. Don't do the same all the time, Corrine. Challenge oneself. I think it's because I just wasn't familiar with the flower, so it just didn't really resonate with me. But when I started looking at all the pictures online of what these little guys look like, I was like, you're an interesting little one. Green leaf. Let's pop a little bit of green. Just dampen the end. Just smear a little bit of green through there. Do you like my technical speech? Just a little bit of colour. That way, if I decide to put all the energy into stitching the actual daisies and the leaves don't get any real stitching, there's a bit of green there that, you know, at least tells the story that what they are. That's my theory anyway. Now I might just take the green. Gosh, I hope I've been in camera. Let me just stand up. Pretty sure I have, yeah. I'm just going to take the green also down into here. If I stitch over them, so be it. That's okay. Now, pop that one away. I'd like to pop a little bit of colour in these little guys. Now, what will I do? I'm thinking of doing some little blue flowers. I won't do the gouache because they're very bright blues. So we'll put them aside. This little sea blue caught my eye, and I thought some little blue flowers here might be something, and then I can do like a little chain stitch or a back split stitch around the edge of it, and the petals, iris blue, the petals would at least have a hint of the blue already in there. Sea blue is what we're looking for, this one. So just start in the center and just put a little bit. just to liven it up a little. There we go. Then I can highlight that with some embroidery. I think the last garland of flowers on this piece, I didn't add paint like the first garland. So I thought, oh, I'm gonna, well, we've got our paints out. We may as well play. Ooh, you're dark. Let's get a bit darker than in here. That's better. There we go. Now I just want to make sure, yep, that's got fabric folded under it over here, so I just want to stay away from there for now. I'm just wetting the fabric a little bit. I'm finding that's giving me a better bleed from the center once I add. Yeah, that's great. Just a hint of colour. So I'll continue with yellow here and here like the lady did. I'll try and match that little guy. We'll have some little blue. Move the fabric, Corrine. You've already noted there's an issue. Why have you not fixed it? We fixed it. I like her pink and yellow combination there, so I'll mimic that. And then we'll have these little blue flowers just to give it a pop of something. That's very green there. I'm not a fan of that, but I'm not going to take it out because that's the lady's work. And I'll try and match it a little and see what I can do to blend it through. So there's our little blue flowers just to give us something different. Now, what else can we do? I think I want to put a bit of pink in this guy. Fuchsia's so pink. I think I'll stay away from the Inktense this time. Go back to this guy. Maybe even that, like just a subtle, it's nearly a flesh tone. Yeah. We can always go darker. Let's just throw a little bit of that in there. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. So we'll do the same to this guy. Just that little bit. Yeah, it's nearly a flesh tone colour. I'll just help those flowers look like they're a bit more dimensional, I think. Yep. Is there another one? Nope, only two. There we go. I think we're there. I think we have enough paint. Put the paintbrush down, Corrine, before you smear it everywhere. Now, the only other thing we haven't done, I'll put the water away so we don't make a mess, is put some sketchy lines in, which what I mean is where I come back and just do some little marks and strokes, and I don't know, it's a bit of an artistic feel about it. So I'm going to grab that number 3. I just want it fine and just do a few little lines just so it feels like there's a little bit of movement, a bit sketchy. I don't even know if they're showing up for you, but a few little shapes out of the tops of those flowers. I didn't put green in there or there. So just a couple little squiggles around these flowers. It's sort of this has got that classic doily feel about it from the 70s, 80s, 90s, my childhood of stitching. And I think when we start bringing paints and little marks and mark making and sketchy bits, and I just think it brings it into, you know, more modern feel. So that's the reason I do that, just to get us out of the 70s and into, you know, something a little bit more stylized. Now, I've missed those leaves. I think that was the indigo, no, not indigo, Inktense pencil, and it was leaf green, this guy. Just need whoops. I know you just get nervous when I start saying whoops. Just seems to be a little bit of colour on that, then just need a little bit. There we go. Alrighty, there you go, guys. I am set for stitching. I just need it all to dry. So I'm going to leave it at that, and I will come back in the next video, so next Monday, and have a play with stitching into some of these areas, choose my threads, and then I'm ready to play and stitch. Okay, all right, have a great week, and I will catch you all in the next video. Bye, guys.